Welcome to Dr. CM Edcast, your go-to resource for medical learning. Through discussions, case studies, tutorials, and debates, we help you learn, grow, serve.
You know, right now, within the quiet confines of your own mind lies the single most complex structure we know of in the entire universe. It's the architect of your thoughts, the gallery where you keep your memories, and the very stage where your consciousness plays out. Today, we're going to take a journey into this incredible world.
What you're looking at here is the cerebral cortex. It's that densely folded outer layer of the brain, the famous gray matter. This is the biological hardware for all of our highest cognitive functions. It's where abstract thought is born, where language lives, and where our sense of self comes from. Our journey together begins right here, on its surface. So, to understand the whole thing, we've got to first understand the parts. We'll start our tour by exploring the basic geography of the cortex. You can think of it as a functional map, one that neuroscientists have been carefully charting for more than a century.
Now, here's what's so incredible about its structure. This layer is only about 2 to 4 millimeters thick. That's it. But it's so vast that to fit inside our skull, it has to be folded into all these grooves and ridges. This folding dramatically increases its surface area, and that's what gives us the immense processing power that really defines us as human.
Okay, so each half of the cerebrum, or each hemisphere, is broadly divided into 4 major territories. We call them lobes. Each one has its own set of special jobs, but they all work together in this absolutely seamless concert. So let's explore them, one by one.
We'll begin right at the front, with the largest of the 4 lobes. The frontal lobe is basically the brain's chief executive officer. It's also the motor command center, orchestrating our actions, our plans, and even our personality.
And this diagram really shows you its sheer size. It takes up a huge portion of the cortex, right behind your forehead. Its scale and its complexity are really hallmarks of the human brain. It's one of the key things that sets us apart from so many other species.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how it breaks down all these different functions. You have the primary motor area. Think of it like the ignition switch for any movement. Then there's the premotor area, which coordinates the sequence of movements, like when you're playing a piano. Broca's area handles the incredibly complex muscle movements of speech. And that huge section, the prefrontal cortex, that's where you plan for the future, make judgments. It's where your personality lives.
All right, moving just behind the frontal lobe, we arrive at the parietal lobe. This is the brain's great synthesizer. It's where all the raw sensory data from your body and the world around you gets transformed into a coherent picture.
The primary somatosensory area is basically the main receiving dock for all signals related to touch, temperature, and pain from the opposite side of your body. Then, the sensory association area right next to it makes sense of it all. It's what allows you to, say, reach into your pocket and recognize your keys by feel alone, without even looking at them.
But how does the brain even organize all this incoming information? Well, it does it in a way that is just fascinatingly direct. And this illustrates that idea perfectly. This is the sensory homunculus, which means little man. It's a distorted map of the body as it's represented in the parietal lobe. Now, the size of each body part here doesn't correspond to its actual physical size, but to how sensitive it is. Just look at the enormous hands and lips. Those are areas packed with sensory nerves, and they demand a huge amount of the brain's processing power.
Okay, now let's journey over to the sides of the brain, nestled right beneath the temples. Here we find the temporal lobe. This is the primary auditory processing center, and it's also a critical hub for memory and understanding.
Being positioned just above the ears makes the temporal lobe the perfect first stop for any auditory information coming into the cortex. But as you're about to see, its role goes way beyond just hearing sounds. It delves into the very meaning of what we hear and what we remember.
So, the primary auditory area decodes the basic characteristics of sound: pitch, loudness, where it's coming from, but it's in Wernicke's area where those sounds are actually transformed into meaningful language. This is the difference between simply hearing a word and understanding what that word means. It's like the brain's own personal dictionary.
Our tour of the lobes is going to wrap up at the very back of the head with the occipital lobe. And even though it's the smallest of the 4, it has one of the most profound and singular jobs. It's dedicated almost entirely to vision. So it's located at the very back of the cerebrum, and this is the brain's dedicated visual cortex. Every single photon of light that enters your eyes finds its ultimate meaning right here in this one specific region.
You can think of it like a 2-step process. First, the primary visual area, or Area 17, receives the raw electrical signals from the retina. It's just a mosaic of light and dark points. Then, the visual association areas get to work, interpreting all that data to identify objects, recognize faces, and perceive the rich, three-dimensional world that we all experience.
So we've seen the map of the cortex, right? But what about the material it's actually made of? To really understand it, we need to zoom in, way in, from the large-scale lobes to the microscopic architecture that makes it all possible.
This right here is a cross-section of the cortex. You see, it isn't just a uniform sheet of cells. It's actually a highly organized, six-layered structure. This feature of the neocortex is absolutely fundamental to its incredible computational power.
From the outermost layer, the molecular layer, down to the deepest, the multiform layer. Each of these 6 levels has a unique mix of cell types and connections. You can think of it as a vertical processing unit. Some layers act as the main inbox, receiving signals, while other layers are the outbox, sending out commands. This layered structure creates an unbelievably sophisticated circuit for processing information.
So how do all these layers and lobes talk to each other? They do it through this massive, intricate network of wiring we call white matter. These fibers are like the brain's information highways. Association fibers are the local roads. Commissural fibers are the massive bridges connecting the two hemispheres. And projection fibers are the long-haul routes connecting the cortex to the rest of the nervous system.
And this slide gives you a wonderful visualization of these pathways. Look on the left. You can see the association fibers, those local roads, linking up areas within a single hemisphere. Now look on the right. You can see that massive bridge of the corpus callosum, the commissural fibers, uniting both halves of the brain. And you can also see those projection fibers fanning out like these great cables, connecting the cortex down to deeper brain structures.
So, the crucial takeaway here is this magnificent integration. It's the constant, high-speed communication across these 6 layers and between these 4 lobes that creates our unified experience of reality. Your ability to see a face, hear a name, feel an emotion, and decide to act, it's all a product of this incredible biological network.
So we've mapped the regions, we've identified the cells, and we've traced the connections. We have, in a way, examined the blueprints of consciousness itself. And that leaves us with one final, profound question. If this is the architecture of the mind, then where, inside this intricate web of tissue and electricity, does the self truly reside?